All right. I got something for you. I got something for your ass. Time out. It's Kelsito, the spirit coach, getting you in shape for the age of Aquarius yet again. You're now drinking the wine of Zeus. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? So, we're going to talk about Yehowah's natural state today, or God's natural state. Some things that God feel like. You know what I'm saying? God, what God think, and thing you don't really want to care about nothing, but what God think and stuff like that. We'll make sure, you know what I'm saying, you got what God thinking on your brain more than what a man think on your brain and stuff like that, because you know you got what a man thinking on your brain and stuff like that. You know, it only can go to uh you know something up, you up under something. You know, you up under some concept, you up under some indoctrination. And things are supposed to get naturally better. Things are supposed to get naturally better. Okay? For you, for everybody. This is a universal concept, a universal law, basically. You know, for everybody. So when you don't see things naturally getting better and things, there's something wrong. Some type of degeneracy or something like that. Some type of degeneracy. There's some type of degeneracy. Okay? We got natural states of beings and stuff like that. Like growing. Like that's a natural state of being. You know? Like you know, all of our natural states of beings. You know, things that we can't control. You know, death, that's a natural state of being. But we're gonna talk about one, and we're gonna point it out specifically. So if you on this journey and stuff like that, going through your travels, you know, and whatnot, you will understand what thoughts and feelings that you create and that you need to let go of, and you start understanding what thoughts and feelings that you create that you need to, you know, cling on to and create more. But for the most part, you already do this by default. You already create tons of thoughts, tons of feelings and things, and you already got a manuscript embedded in you based upon your travels as a spirit that you did past lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So this is like, you know, you could have been an animal last lifetime. This lifetime you a human. You still know how to hunt. You still know how to look for food. You know what I'm saying? When you're an infant and things. So you got an instinct. And a lot of these things is built based upon memory that we develop in our past travels. And based upon the spirits that can teach some of these things, you know, in the present lifetime, these are the spirits that you will see their expertise. They may have more experience in that area than you did. And so this is when we get to appointing people, etc., and things like that. But always remember, things are naturally supposed to get better. Now, when you don't have shit that's in that context, it's something wrong. It's something wrong. Somebody playing mind games. It's either you playing mind games on yourself or somebody behind it playing mind games on you and things. You know, ain't no way, you know what I'm saying, that you don't get a return on investment with the work that you put in type shit. So when you see that happening and things of that nature, you got to realize that there's some element of control going on. You know, that some man is doing. You know what I'm saying, or they something going on that they not allowing things to happen right. All right, so and I hope how everybody doing today. Everybody, I hope y'all feeling good. You know what I'm saying? Look, life is supposed to naturally get better, right? Hope y'all feeling good. I'm feeling good. It's stuff like that. Don't let nobody tell you differently. But the only reason life ain't getting naturally better and stuff like that is because is somebody controlling it and they playing God type shit. Sip of the tea. You know what I'm saying? Shout out, good morning, everybody. Even the trolls in the chat and stuff like that. Even the trolls in the chat. We gonna say what's up to y'all too. And think even the trolls and concerts and the pussy monsters in the comments and stuff like that. Now, we're gonna talk about one of Yehowah's natural states and shit like that. All right. So this is gonna always put you in the right context of how things are naturally getting better all the time, and how that's just a quality of life that we supposed to have. You know what I'm saying? So always remember that. Always remember that. Okay? Now, being in the state of I feel I've gotten better is one of Yehowah's natural states of development. So you can call it God, whatever you call it, Yehowah, whatever. But it's one of our natural states of self-development. Okay? Now, this is the phenomena of things getting naturally easier once you have applied your will through intent. So once you have applied your will through intent, things are supposed to get naturally easier. For example, you don't have to analyze as critical crawling once you learn to crawl, right? You don't have to, when you first start to crawl and you was analyzing that, you was probably scared to take the first, you know what I'm saying, fall on your face. So once you start building that, now what are you building? You know what I'm saying? You're building the substance. So you're building the mind juice, you know what I'm saying? The thoughts and feelings that create enough adrenaline that turn into blood flow that go to those right organs that help, because we got organs that correlate with our mind that help you go through that travel. So once you crawl and things, you don't have to keep analyzing that. You already start building that. Each day becomes easier. So each day you return to the task better, and even extended breaks, you find the state of I feel I've gotten better. And you find that in a lot of things. You find that in walking. You know what I'm saying? You do that in driving. You don't have to this point where some of y'all so good at driving and stuff like that. Y'all done had a lot of thoughts and feelings towards that y'all can text and drive and stuff like that. Now don't do that. You're not supposed to do that, but but you get what I'm saying. So things are supposed to get naturally easier and things. This is proof of how you are developing your abilities is both internal and external processes. And when you give, especially when you give your time to your gifts, your ability, or your talent. All right? So, yeah, let that soak in. Now, why do I say it's proof? Right? Because it's proof in the sense of once you did that external ability and things of that nature, you went to drive. The next time you ain't come and be like, oh, I gotta overly drive again and shit like that. No, you just kind of got the flow of it. You know what I'm saying? You start developing thoughts of how to do it better and stuff like that. That lead to you actually doing it better. So this is a little bit of what I'm talking about, how we developing our mind states and stuff like that when I be talking about building thoughts, building feeling, building adrenaline. This is something we already do naturally. It's just on some levels, y'all are controlled to have y'all attention to a certain person, place, or thing that take you away from these natural qualities that if you was just to sit back and observe life yourself, you would see you better. You would see it from your perspective that you supposed to be better. and shit like that. So shall we run it back? Shall we run it back? Okay, listen. Being in the state of I feel I've gotten better, right? So this is when you go back to that thing. You go back to that music. You go back to you're gonna be like, damn, I feel I've gotten better. Is one of life's natural state of self-development. This is the phenomena of things getting naturally easier once you have applied your will through intent. For example, you don't have to analyze critical crawling um, once you learn to crawl. You don't have to analyze as critical walking once you learn to walk. You don't have to analyze as critical driving as once you learn to drive. Each day becomes easier. Each day you return to the task better, and even extended breaks, you find a state of I feel I gotten better. Okay, so that's one natural state that you ain't necessarily what take part in creating with your mentality thought, your external thought. You know what I'm saying? You didn't take part of you. It's an internal and external process. Okay, this is proof of how you're developing abilities both internally and externally. So when you give your time to ability or give and talent, this is what's going on, type shit. You know what I'm saying? So you drove, but you got internal thoughts of you create thoughts like I'm not gonna crash. You know what I'm saying? You create thoughts, a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? And now so that's the internal process. The external process is you actually taking the hands on the wheel and actually going towards what you got to do. All right. So first, you need to be externally brave enough to act on your thoughts, and internally become brave enough to receive them. So this means that you need to go for that thing, but you also need to be vulnerable enough to try, basically. Try to be like, oh, okay, I am kind of getting better. I am, and that is where you actually combining your left and your right brain, how you actually supposed to do your, what I'm saying, for the right reasons. All right. Now, most spirits and bodies, whether animals, humans, plants, have this natural ability. This is why we call it will and things of that nature, because it kind of develops on its own. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, you don't have to be as critical. Like once you do something, and once it's natural for you, and things of that nature, the natural course will take its course and things. So that's what will is. Now, based upon our ideas accumulating, what you're really doing by default is the process of transformation. You're creating thoughts that are suitable for the development, that accumulate into adrenaline, said that, turn into blood flow. Now it can affect your body. Now we call this the mind state. You know what I'm saying? So now your mind in a certain state. Now your mind on what is it? A mental train. What is it? Train of thought. That's what I was gonna say. Or is the mind state or train of thought? Um, which is the accumulation of thoughts and feelings that's needed, shaped by the thoughts that you have gave less thought and feeling towards. So when you drive the first time, you're not giving more thoughts to, damn, I'm finna drive the first time again, type shit. You know what I'm saying? You're giving the thoughts towards I done drove already, and that already developed into your blood as you know what I'm saying, as cells and shit like that of what you about to do next and things of that nature. And so a lot of it kind of feel like intuition and things when you about to do it again type shit. You know what I'm saying? So you may ask, are there times when we don't feel this natural state applies? And what state is that? I feel I've gotten better. Yeah, it's some times where we feel this natural state don't apply. And I'm about to let you know right now. Now, first, being in old age, illness, or close to death. which could depend on your view of death. You know what I'm saying? Death don't necessarily mean you're not getting better from a universal law perspective, because it's is one of life's natural processes. So that don't mean you're not getting better and things of that nature. You might don't understand death, you know what I'm saying? You might not see it like how the natives see it, like where we come back even better type thing, you know what I'm saying? You might not be seeing it like that. But, you know what I'm saying, you might be lost in like you going to hell or heaven or something like that. But yeah, so that's death. Death don't necessarily mean you're not getting better from a universal law perspective. It's actually one of life's natural processes. Now, illness is naturally supposed to get better, especially in your younger years. Likely, other things could be based upon unnatural things that you got to process, you know, through your body, like eating habits or what you put on your mind. So these are things that you can these are some states of being that you can be in where you can actually feel like things ain't naturally supposed to get better. But like I said, death, that's one that that's not in a universal law. You're not supposed to look at that like, because that is getting better. You know what I'm saying? Because you know you out with the old and you replenishing the new and stuff like that, making room for the new and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Where you can leave some inheritance and somebody else can do something with it. Type shit. You ain't supposed to hold on to this body forever. This is why all of us adapt on agreeing and saying things like we get better with time. All of us know what we doing spiritually, and then sometimes you just may be wrapped up into the flesh. You know what I'm saying? You may be wrapped up into the flesh moment. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody in the chat. This is why all of us adapt on agreeing and saying things like things get better with time. All of us knowing what we doing spiritually, we just may be wrapped up in the flesh and not actually know what we saying. But a lot of these things, you know, do speak to us on a soul level. You know what I'm saying? Well, the natives and shit like that, because we made a lot of these things up. But you know, you know, a lot of these sayings is, you know, we talk about what we do in spiritually. And when we spend more times on more things that don't get better with time and focus, hold on. And when we spend time more on the things that don't get better with time, we focus on the state of degeneracy, which the government created a lot of these things for you to be worried about anyway, like finances, business, and mental frames, like being U.S. citizens. So, like, naturally, everything supposed to get better with time. You get what I'm saying? But when we start to get to the unnatural and shit like that, this is when shit don't get better in time. This is when you start to question, like, damn, why I'm not moving up like that? You know what I'm saying? Damn, why I'm not, you know, because that ain't natural. That ain't got no God in it. And that ain't part of Yehowah's natural state. You feel me? So when you part of Yehowah's natural state, everything get better with time. Everything get better with development and stuff like that. All right. These things are promised to get better with time. These things aren't. I'm sorry. So like what we talking about, business, finances, mental frames, like being a U.S. citizen. A lot of these things aren't promised to get better with time. So that's how you know it ain't a part of Yehowah's or God's natural state. These things are actually controlled by others. So this is when you can spend years of doing something in that field and be looked at as a degenerate your own self by not understanding things are supposed to naturally get better and easier. So if you in something and you getting you experiencing a lot of turmoil and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? You in some situation where you're not really understanding your whole mind. You're trying to understand another white man, and it just ain't even white, you know what I'm saying? Because black people be a part of this shit too. You be trying to understand another man's mind of why things ain't getting better for you, or why things ain't taking off for you, or why things, you know what I'm saying? You may think like, oh man, especially if you're a Christian or something like that, oh God, why it ain't get better for me and stuff like that. You're not using your mind. You know what I'm saying? That whatever you trying to equate to what's not getting better for you or not ain't got nothing to do with God. So that's the first thing you need to know too. You know what I'm saying? Life actually show you what things is. You know what I'm saying? What when things are supposed to get naturally better for you or not. You get what I'm saying? So this is when you spend years of your life doing something in that field and be looked at as a degenerate or degenerate your own self by not understanding these things are supposed to naturally get better and easier. So if you walk around with a lot of negative frustration, as into things are not going your way and it seems like things are getting better for others, you need to realize anytime it don't is a clear indicator of you're doing something or trying to force something unnatural. So you trying to force something unnatural, whether it's a relation, it could be a relationship. You know what I'm saying? If that relationship not getting better, is something you doing that ain't natural in that relationship. You know what I'm saying? You could be trying to get something, you ain't being your real self. You know what I'm saying? Or let's say you trying to get um become an actor in Hollywood. You can act. What is going to get better is with time is your acting skills, especially if you put time into it. What could or could not possibly get better is your contracts and shit. You know what I'm saying? Now that shit ain't got shit. That shit ain't got shit to do with God. That ain't part of God and shit like that. So this is what we need to separate and stuff like that in our own life. What is a part of God and what ain't? Because it's gonna show you, you know what I'm saying, what where you should be directing your talents and gifts and shit like that, and you know, in the right areas or not and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that way, if you are gonna go through with some frustration, you know that you doing it for the reason, a different reason, not because you want the accolades from it and things. You want to naturally climb the ladder of the Mason success or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You're doing it naturally because it's something that a part of you. It's something that you willing to take on the challenge. You ain't doing it for, a return or something like that. But we can all agree on that things do get naturally better when you put your time to it. That's one thing. That's valid. That's valid. You get what I'm saying? So always remember that relationships, you know what I'm saying, supposed to get better with time. Life is supposed to get better with time. Even not even just the physical, but even what you have learned from it. You know what I'm saying? The wisdom, so you don't keep making the same mistakes and things of that nature. These things already be gifted to you and shit. Y'all gotta understand that. That's like a power. That's like something magical. You know what I'm saying? That ain't nothing normal and things. That's more so like a phenomenon. But it ain't a phenomenon because it could be explained and shit like that. It's just us more dealing with the feminine internal energies. And we already there before we get here and shit like that. So that's part of, you know what I'm saying, what we utilize to come down here and shit like that. All the way down till we pick a female to come through that shit. But the internal is many thoughts and many thoughts that turn into women feelings and shit like that. And then once you got that memory and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying, that memory can um it more so act like a substance where you can remember and utilize that as a guidance tool to your external realm. So you'll be moving smoother than you was before. You'll be acting smoother than you was before. It ain't the same. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't picked up, wisdom from the things that you didn't already endure. So anytime, you know what I'm saying, you're hitting roadblocks and stuff like that, and um, things aren't forming naturally. You need to know that you either doing something natural or it's some person behind that is controlling that made you think it's supposed to be natural for you to like Walt Disney. Like you could be anything you want to be and shit like that. Shit, you know, that ain't natural. So we gotta understand the difference between Walt Disney and things, and also Yehowah's law and things. Now, um, a lot of these things were taken and shit like that and studied. You know what I'm saying? And copied and stuff and played so that because you know the people that run these sanctions of government and stuff that they know that, so they know how to make a puppet that make what's that called an industry plant that make it look like they get better with time and stuff like that. And if you a person you don't got no culture and shit like that, you don't got no guidance with Yehowah, you may think that whatever you finna do should get as natural as them. No, but that's already set up. You know what I'm saying? It's already set up for you to be unnatural with it. So they use that person as a puppet for you to waste your time and stuff like that. By and that's how they with attention and whatnot. Pause. Give me a second. Yeah. So so when you don't see things developing naturally and stuff like that, you know things are controlled and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's it though. But yeah, so being in the natural state of, I feel I gotten better and things of that nature. You supposed to be feeling that every day and things. And anytime you don't, you got your mind on degeneracy. So you got your mind on a situation that's unnatural, and things that's unnatural lead to decline because it don't have no natural growth in it. You know what I'm saying? It don't have no natural qualities about it and things. So you can only go to, crashing out, doing something over and over again, still failing and things, but you can make an excuse of like, you know, why your, your material is keeping you warm at night and things of that nature, but you're not really dealing with the sense of you self-reflecting that you had to go to extremes to even do that. You know what I'm saying? You had to crash out and shit like that. And that ain't got nothing to do with natural either. And stuff like that because you wouldn't still feel the um um overwhelming feeling of trying to keep that thing running. And then you gotta overcompensate, you gotta hide, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be behind scenes, uh you gotta use fake things, fake pages, fake people, pay people off, money, manipulation, all type of shit. Instead of, you know, allowing things to get naturally better and things, you know what I'm saying, even all the way down to your humanitarian skills and shit like that. So it's always gonna be manipulation. But if it ain't got um, that energy that I feel I've gotten better, you know what I'm saying, behind it, then it's a fluke and thing. And that's my motherfucking line for today, chat. So always remember these things and shit like that. Always remember that. You're supposed to get naturally better. things are supposed to get naturally better. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no such thing as you being in something as a human and it not getting naturally better unless it's control or um or you doing something that's unnatural. And things, and you don't want to never stray away from your natural state, and things you will end up lost like a lot of people in the world is, and things. And then a person that try to flip that on you like, well, you're not ruling the world, so you're not your natural state ain't doing that. Who the fuck said that was a thing to do? You know what I'm saying? That I don't feel like I will get better at that. That ain't even no thing. But I'm pretty sure I can tell you something that you can utilize for yourself and that can help you better in any position, whether you ruling the world or whether you riding a bike. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's about. And things. Now you can utilize your ego and be like, give me 1 second. Um, yeah, and then when it ain't in that context, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, I was saying you could utilize your ego and to uphold that shit. You know what I'm saying? And be like, well, I don't care, whatever. Well, this is just going to lead to your more degeneracy. You know what I'm saying? And then you watching people in secrecy where you have to play games with and stop them and block them because your natural state ain't being natural. Your natural state is to degenerate and to, you know what I'm saying? To be a dick and stop people and shit like that. So either way it go, it ain't natural. And things get better every motherfucking day. Every day. God show us that. From a squirrel, you know what I'm saying? Going to look for some food, that's a natural quality that every spirit got and that every spirit experienced and shit like that until it's their time to go. All right? And I'm Kelsey, the spirit coach. Thank y'all for joining my live. Get y'all ass in the game.